Yes, it's John G. Sutton. Tales from the jails. Yeah, thanks for watching my channel. And to all of you who joined in yesterday's live Q&As, thank you very much. It was interesting. And if you've got any questions or any comments or insults you'd like to throw at me, just put them in the comments below and I will deal with it. Don't forget, on the 7th of November now, it's going to be the broadcast on the Sean Atwood channel. The interview I did with Sean Atwood will be there, and it coincides with the publication of my new book, HMP Manchester Prison Officer, which is going to be published and available on Amazon. I think you might be able to place pre-orders with Sean Atwood, but you'll have to ask him. Anyway, today I want to talk a little bit about the tragic news that Her Majesty's Police Service in the Greater Manchester Police, His Majesty's Police, have failed to locate any signs of the location of the deceased body of Keith Bennett from the terrible, horrible, disgusting actions of the scumbag, filth, dead, Moors murderers, Myra Hindley and Ian Brady. They can't find any trace. There have been reports that there had been sights or discoveries of the remains of Keith Bennett, who went missing in 1964, I believe it was, and he has not been seen since, and he was a victim of the Moors murderers, Myra Hindley and Ian Brady. And the police report that despite numerous suggestions that there had been remains found on Saddleworth Moor, there has been absolutely no trace that they can find. Apparently, tests of the soil have been sent for forensic examination, but no physical remains have been found at this point. I was involved in this case. First of all, I locked Ian Brady up on numerous occasions when he was in Wormwood Scrubs, and he was subsequently located at Ashworth Hospital, which was in Maghull, and that's where he died. Disgusting, horrible shithouse. One of my personal friends, the author and philosopher Colin Wilson, famous for writing the international best-selling book The Outsider. Look him up. Go on to Google. Please do look up Colin Wilson. I wrote part of his, I helped to write part of his book, research it with him, The Angry Years, because Colin Wilson was one of the what's known as the angry young men of British literature, along with the writer of Look Back in Anger and Room at the Top. Yeah, you look him up. Colin Wilson, friend of mine, brilliant man. I tell you, that guy could drink wine. He had a glass that would fit half a bottle of wine. And he was a brilliant cook. Yeah, a brilliant cook. I forget what we had. I think it was like wild boar. And he cooked me this wild boar when I went to see him. I went with one of my other friends, Professor Joe Cooper. I'm not name dropping here, I'm just telling you the facts. Joe Cooper, look him up. Joe Cooper wrote a book called The Case of the Cottingley Fairies. Brilliant guy, Joe. Wonderful, happy guy. A song and dance man. He sung and dancing in heaven now. He's passed. So was Colin Wilson. And I'm still here, folks, as you can see. But Keith Bennett, they haven't found his remains. And the reports that they had have been, sadly, proved to be inconsistent with the facts. Anyway, I want you to know that Ian Brady was a complete shithouse. When I knew him, he wouldn't speak to prison staff. He would only speak to governors. He had certain strange visitors from the House of Lords. I will not mention the name, but I know the name. Yeah, I do know the name. And he had connections with the staff, because he would speak with the governors, but he wouldn't speak with the uniformed staff. He thought he was above that. In actual fact, he was a supercilious, uneducated shithouse. Seriously. Colin Wilson, who was a highly educated individual, extremely erudite, dropped him like a hot potato when he realised that Ian Brady was just using him to actually build up the idea that he, Brady, was in fact an outsider and therefore unable to connect with the natural law of society, when the truth of the matter being that Brady was just a nutcase, a low-level shithouse, believe me. Anyway, that's what I'm going to tell you about today. There's no evidence to show on Saddleworth Moor that there is any trace of the remains of Keith Bennett. I went there in, I think it was 1990 with I was managing the career of the so-called psychic, Derek Okora, and we went up there onto Saddleworth Moor with my brother, Martin Sutton, who was at the time a serving detective inspector in Her Majesty's Police at Greater Manchester Police, and Okora couldn't locate. And we went to see Winnie Johnson, the parent of Keith Bennett. We couldn't find any locate. We couldn't find it. We went to the area, and Martin identified that was the exact area where Myra Hindley had said, because my brother took Myra Hindley onto the moors. When she went with the police, took her up on the moors, my brother accompanied Myra Hindley onto the moors, and she couldn't correctly identify where they'd buried Keith Bennett, but they had buried him up there because the moors are moving, they're not solid, are they? They're made up of like a peat bog. Anyway, that's today's Tales from the Jails. Thanks to all who joined yesterday, and do please leave me some comments and criticisms and observations below, yeah? And on the 7th of November, my interview with Sean Atwood will be broadcast on his website, on his channel, his YouTube channel. So in the meantime, I'm not going to sing to you, but I'm going to read you a poem. Yeah, not very ding-dong-ding, was it? Come on. Ding. That's a bit better. Yeah, this is Wigan Refugee. This is about my friend Kenny, who lived in a place near Wigan, and he didn't want to be there. He wanted to escape from Wigan, and this is the poem I wrote about him. It's called Wigan Refugee by John G. Sutton. That's me, by the way. I was living in Wigan, up from the cut. Every time the wind blew, the doors banged shut. The plumbing was knackered, the kitchen was a bin, the windows were leaking and the rain poured in. Couldn't really fettle it, no good at DIY, and too busy watching telly to give it a try. The wife said, "Sell the bastard." Well, it's easier said than done. We put it on the market, no bugger come. 12 months later, waiting to flit, stuck in stinky Wigan, up from the pit. A stranger came to view it. I shook him by the hand, pointed at the pitscape, said, "Ain't it ruddy grand? Right handy for swimming, just a stone's throw from the cut." The silly sod bought it. We were glad to get shut. So now we live in posh part. We've flitted out to Lee. Bollocks to George Orwell. I'm a Wigan refugee. That's Wigan Refugee by John G. Sutton. The reference to George Orwell is, of course, referring to his book The Road to Wigan Pier by George Orwell, whose real name is Eric Blair, by the way. He wrote 1984, one of my favourite books. And currently it is the Conservative Manifesto, I think. Don't you? Thank you very much for watching. This is John G. Sutton, Tales from the Jails.